Lots of heritage railways have a restaurant car that doesn't move. It's static. So here is our restaurant car before any work was carried out. Nice enough little thing, but of course it doesn't really represent a restaurant car that hasn't moved for decades, and that's what we're after. So the very first step really is to take this thing down to its component parts. On this one, there's one screw goes through the underframe there, runs up through the bodywork and into the roof, screws into there. Once we've got all that out, we can do a couple of things. We're free to do more things. Firstly, I'm going to apply some weathering to the bodywork, and obviously I don't really want that weathering on the windows or the glazing. Glazing itself is dirty, so that could do with a clean. Whole model's dirty, but we'll do the glazing. Gives us a chance to add some seated figures in the two sections of the interior. They just go like that, one at each end. You can add some figures there to bring it to life. What else could you do? Well, we might put in a bit of coach lighting somewhere. I've got a strip of coach lighting that doesn't require pickup from the track, so we might have a look at that. Couplings are gone now because this is going to be a static model. It's never going to go anywhere on this railway. So we take the wretched D-links off, and we're now free to actually address some of the issues and create this project and make it our own, really. So the very first thing that I want to do here really is to take off some of the shine. There's nothing wrong with the livery. I'm not trying to destroy the livery, but just to take away a little bit of the shine, which will do two things. Firstly, it will clean the model where I want to apply my weathering. You know, I'll have a good painting surface there. It will also give it a bit of textural aging, and it's really just a good starting point. And if you've ever seen me weather a model bus, that's exactly how I start with those as well. You need a degree of confidence and courage, and my weapon of choice, Scotch cloth. Really can't go wrong. Give it a go. And you can see here that I haven't wiped this off yet, by the way, so you've still got residue of Scotch cloth, but it really is just about creating a little bit of wear and tear, natural wear and tear. You're just removing the shine. And like all weathering, it's subtle, but it's a very, very good starting point. I'll do the same with the roof as well, and that will again clean the roof. You can see how dirty this one is, but that dirt is real dirt, and I don't really want to leave it on there. I'd rather apply artificial dirt with an airbrush or weathering powders or any other way I might choose to go. Whilst I'm wiping away, of course, the residue from my Scotch cloth, it's also a good time to wipe down the glazing units that go in this model. And again, that's real dirt that's on there, not sort of the artistic dirt that we want to create. And it wasn't that long ago, was it, that we were all very paranoid, and rightly so, about handling a dirty object. And I say to people all the time, if you're going to keep stuff that you've acquired secondhand, give it a clean at least on the outside, even if you don't feel confident about dismantling a model. It really is worth it. These things are passed through many, many hands, and you never know what's living on there. So here we are outside, ready for a little bit of a paint job. I've got some low-tack masking tape on the body of the coach. I don't want to destroy the livery that's underneath. I want to keep that, merely enhance it with some weathering. And the same for the underframe and, of course, the roof. And on this occasion, my weapons of choice are high coat primer. It's a plastic primer and it's going to be grey. And then I like to start a lot of my weathering off with a light dusting of rail match sleeper grime. That's just my preferred choice. If you have a different way that you want to go, by all means, crack on, because it's not a question of right or wrong. We're just creating a project here. So on a rare sunny day, it won't take long for these parts to dry. It's also worth pointing out that if this was a wagon that was going to be used on the railway, you would, of course, remove the wheels prior to painting. You don't want paint on there. That will cause all sorts of problems. Well, we've brought our model back inside now. The sleeper grime has dried. What comes next? Well, I like to start with a black wash, and I shall apply that to the bogies on both sides, of course, and part of the underframe. Don't waste your money buying a black wash. Get yourself an empty paint pot, get some black or even dark grey, dilute it. After that, we're going to apply a few weathering powders, except that, again, save your money. I use makeup powder. It does exactly the same job, works perfectly well. You get a far greater range of tones and colours on a palette, and it's about a third of the price. So I'm going to apply a few stages of weathering now off camera. There's nothing scientific in this, there's no great secret. Bit of black wash, bit of weathering powder. We'll have a look and see how it all goes once those things have been applied. Just for convenience and for protection, I'm going to leave this low-tack masking tape in place while I work on the chassis. So having applied some paint and weathering powder, or makeup powder in my case, we're ready to reassemble the model. And you can see how it's coming on. I would add at this point that weathering is subjective, and what pleases one will certainly not please another. I've cleaned, of course, the glazing strips that come with this model, ready for reassembly, and I also have my happy campers, my seated passengers, to go into our restaurant car. Now, when it comes to gluing in our passengers, I would definitely recommend avoiding the dreaded super glue. Super glue has two disadvantages for gluing in passengers. Firstly, the fumes from super glue are so strong that they will give off a white haze and absolutely destroy your glazing, and you cannot repair that situation. Secondly, super glue dries very brittle, and once your passengers are loose, they'll be rolling around all over the place. Personally, I like an araldite or a two-part epoxy resin. Well, now it's time to reassemble our model. Our passengers are installed and enjoying the delights of the restaurant car on their visit to our heritage railway. It really is only at the end stage of a project like this where everything comes together and all the steps that you've taken come to life as one model, whether that model is a lone example or whether it lives on a diorama. But as we had our model in bits, those weren't the only changes that we made. We'll have a quick look at the roof, and as I said at the very beginning, weathering is subjective. What one likes, another may not. There is no right or wrong. Whilst the model was in bits, I also took the time to add a little bit of extra detail. And here you can see that I've picked out not only the door that joins the buffet car, restaurant car to the rest of the train, and a silver door handle. I've also added the grey around the concertina join, and I've picked out the buffers as well as adding a little bit of weathering powder just to the ends of the model itself. I hope the camera can pick this up. It's a rare sunny day here in Cornwall. We don't get many, and filming outside is never a great option, but there we are. As this video comes to an end, it's worth remembering exactly how much we have done. And so here's a before and after shot. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. You'll find at the end of this video a link to a high mech that I repainted in a fantasy livery, and I hope you'll enjoy that as well and go on to view it. All I've tried to do in this project is to give you a bit of an idea about what is possible if you can open your mind and use a model that otherwise might end up having no real function as something worthwhile. If you'd like this content, please subscribe to the channel. That really would be great, helps me know that what I'm doing is worthwhile, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye now from St. Blazy Model World. Bye-bye.